Good morning, friends. Today, I would be discussing with you views of Paulo Freire and Emile Durkheim on education. Let us start with Paulo Freire. As far as Emile Durkheim is concerned, you have studied it earlier too. Now, as far as Paulo Freire is concerned, you know he was a Brazilian educator and one of the most influential educational thinkers of the second half of the 20th century. Some people consider him as Rousseau of 20th century and John Dewey of the present era. Paulo Freire received international recognition for his experiences in literacy training in northeastern Brazil. Following the military coup d'etat in 1964 in Brazil, he forced into political exile for a long 15 years. He returned to Brazil in 1979. And finally, in 1988, he became Minister of Education for Sao Paulo, a province of Brazil. And this position of being a minister helped him in promoting reform in the field of education in whole of the Brazil. The most important work of, or you can say well-known work of Paulo Freire is Pedagogy of Oppressed. Paulo Freire emphasizes a system of education where learning is an act of culture and freedom. The system of education does not provide simply learning of facts and figures, but it is an act of culture and freedom. As far as his philosophical position is concerned, his position is near to existentialist. According to him, the consciousness and world are simultaneous. As you know, that objective idealist believes that consciousness perceives the world. Consciousness can take place without the existence of the material. And you also know that materialists hold that consciousness is followed by the world. Consciousness follows the world. It means consciousness is not possible until one interacts with the material world. It is the result of interaction with the world. But as far as Paulo Freire's position is concerned, he believes that consciousness and world are simultaneous, both takes together. And He believes that man is equipped with a strong willpower who can transform the world with his own efforts. Role of man as a subject in the world and with the world. As consciousness and world are simultaneous, so we can say that say that role of man as a subject in the world and with the world. Freire's work is mainly concerned with literacy and desired to help the men and women overcome their sense of powerlessness by acting in their own behalf. According to Freire, the main goal of popular education is to change the power relationship in the society. The power relationship in the society is not equal, it is unequal. And the main task or main objective of education is to change the power relationship, to take the society towards equality. And he has given a term praxis. And he says that uh, this change in power relationship can be done through or can be achieved through praxis. The power relationship society can be changed through praxis. Now, praxis means action that is informed and linked to certain values. Praxis is an informed action and it is linked to the certain value of the society. And it emphasizes on dialogue. Or dialogue always takes place between equals, both between whom dialogue would be taking place would be equals. They are supposed to be equals. And there would be mutual respect for both each other. Only then dialogue is possible. And dialogue is not just about understanding of the fact. It is about the differences in the world. Dialogue helps us to perceive the differences in the world. It is not only to understand a particular phenomenon. As I said, dialogue is a cooperative activity and it involves mutual respect for each other. And mutual respect for each other. You can say that both parties in a dialogue must treat each other in an equal way. Now, the dialogue is important and can be seen as enhancing community and building social capital, and leading us to act in ways that make for justice and human flourishing. Dialogue is a very important process through which uh, community can be enhanced and we can build social capital, and that social capital lead us to act in a ways that make for justice and human justice and society can flourish. You can also we can also understand praxis this way. Actually, praxis brings some sort of organic political consciousness in the society. You know that society there is a domination of certain class. Some people are dominated by others, and this domination of some by others must be overcome so that humanization of all can take place. If you see the present system of education, which is basically authoritarian, which reinforces oppressors' view of the world and their material privilege in it. The present education system carries the view of the oppressors through curriculum. Curriculum is based on the dominant views of the dominant class, that is oppressor, and the material privilege of the oppressor in the society. And both and this oppression, oppressors view of the world, that is incorporated in the curriculum, and their material privilege. These, if taken together, these two constitute obstacle to the liberation of human being. And praxis is a means to achieve the liberation. Now, praxis is also, you can say praxis is a process of action and reflection. We can say that praxis is not enough for people to come together in a dialogue or to gain knowledge of social reality. Through praxis, we discuss things, we make dialogue, and explore social reality. But this is not suffice. There must be action. They must act upon the environment in order to reflect upon reality. And so transform it through further action and critical reflection. Through praxis, we try to find out the reality of a problem, and after finding out the reality, we act upon the environment in such a way that we can change the society. It is there that that society is, there is a conflict in society. Some people are getting oppressed, but they can come out of this operation, this exploitation, through praxis. Through praxis, they can exploit they can discover the real, they can know the reality of the situation, why they are being exploited, why they are being oppressed. They come to learn, and after learning that, they can act on the environment in such a way that uh, that they would be liberated, and society equality will prevail in the society. So here it is nothing like revolution. Revolution is there. Here revolution changes, revolutionary changes takes place precisely through consistency of critical commitment in both word and deed. It is not like something very upheaval. Peacefully, revolutionary changes take place, and through praxis or through consistency of critical commitment in both word and deed. Praxis helps us to know about the reality, and after knowing the reality, oppressed people can act upon the system. And all these things are done through praxis. Praxis, that is a form of dialogue, where both make dialogue, and uh, oppressor, oppressed can get out of the jacket of exploitation, or they can achieve equality, or what you call liberation. Now, as in the beginning, uh, I discussed that pedagogy is very important contribution of Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire is a Brazilian philosopher. He was basically an educator and worked for mass literacy in Brazil. During mass literacy, he adopted a certain kind of pedagogy that gave gave him international recognition, and we can say that pedagogy suggested by him uh, has the potential to revolutionize the world, and this is called critical pedagogy. Before coming to critical pedagogy, we'll talk of the pedagogy we are following today. Uh, Freire was very extremely negative, or he was having negative views on mainstream approaches which we follow today. And in mainstream approach which we follow today, uh, what we do, or he used a metaphor for the present system of pedagogy, that is banking system, and he described the present system of pedagogy through a metaphor, that is banking system. And he says that in the present pedagogy, teachers deposit their knowledge in the mind of the students. Mind is a kind of bank where passively that knowledge is deposited, and whenever required, that knowledge is taken out for the purpose of examination, for the purpose of some lecture and all that. So the knowledge is passively deposited in the bank by the teachers. So he says that this system of pedagogy does not have the capacity to change. It does not make the students to whom you teach pedagogy, or the students who learn pedagogy, cannot become change agent. So he suggested the alternative educational approach in which oppressed people need to be critically conscious. And first step towards liberation is that people must become conscious, and this consciousness brings social change. Oppressed people need to develop critical awareness of their social reality, as I discussed earlier, through reflection and action. And action is fundamental because it is the process of changing reality. Paulo Freire says we all acquire social myths which have dominant tendency, and this tendency can be removed through critical pedagogy, through a process which uncovers the real problems and actual needs. So in critical pedagogy, we try to find out the differences in society. It is not like that we know a certain fact. We try to perceive the differences, reasons for the differences, and that differences take us to the reality. And after knowing the differences and reality, or we can say after getting consciousness about the problem, we can bring change. So critical pedagogy is very important. When you teach something, we teach poverty. It is not that we teach this factor, that factor, poverty. We must explore the reasons behind that, reasons behind the differences. And we must try to reach the reality, try to explore the reality. And that reality will help to that reality, knowing that reality, or after what you call, uh, after getting aware or getting consciousness about the problem, we can achieve change. If one becomes aware of conditions of one's awareness, this conscientizes oppressed people, and which in turn catalyzes transformative action. It is for the oppressed people, it is very important to get conscientize, to get or to become conscious of the problem. And once they become conscious of the problem, that will help uh, them to take transformative action. Knowing the reality catalyzes transformative action. So the critical pedagogy of Paulo Freire is not a method. Rather, it opens a space for students or learners to assert and act as a change agent. So here is the pedagogy that can make our students, make the learners as a change agent for society. The pedagogy we are adopting, that will never help. The passive knowledge is just get deposited in their mind, and they use it for passive purposes. They still remain far from reality. That's why they cannot bring social change or any transformation. Some of the important works of Paulo Freire is Education for Critical Consciousness. Pedagogy Oppressed is of course most important work. Then another work is Teachers as Intellectuals Towards a Critical Pedagogy of Learning. He has written this uh, with Xerox. So I hope now you have come to learn about Paulo Freire. At first, we try to understand uh, mm, praxis, how change can take place through praxis, and that helps oppressed people to achieve change and equality. Then we came to know about banking system, and then critical pedagogy. Critical pedagogy, is, of course, is very similar to praxis, because here also uh, uh, the basic thing is that one has to come, one has to, one will become conscious towards the reality, and that will help him to change the situation. So thank you very much. And the next part we would be uh, discussing about Emile Durkheim.